working together is gonna be legend. Wait for it.
Oh, hey. I don't remember how to intro a show. It's been a really long time.
Sean Pitts lives.
Hey, guys. How's it going? Welcome to another episode of Zero Life, a weekly talk show where we discuss ongoing affairs in nerd culture. I'm Sean. I helped found this show. I'm never on it, though. And with me, as always, is the man who keeps everything running. God, Barrett. Barrett Courtney at Banandler Fong.
No, Banandler Chong. It's good to see that you recovered from the attack that you endured. You were attacked by a group of chickens, is what we're
For the
saying.
record, it would have to be a lot of chickens. I could probably kill like 150 chickens.
150 chickens?
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Before I got tired. I'm thinking.
I would say, yeah, so when Cool Greg came on, I said you got attacked by a flock of chickens. And I kept to that story when Danny came on last week. Shout out to Danny, who's helping us produce the show this week.
Hi, Danny.
Hi, Danny. So, yeah, it's been lonely without you, though. I missed you.
I missed you, too. I miss doing the show. It's
Yeah.
weird. It's one of these things where it's like, hey, you like two things on an entire planet, and one of them came out 2 weeks ago, and then you decided to not do your show anymore.
It was weird. It was like I wanted to talk about Destiny because I actually got into it as you predicted months ago.
Oh, I fucking nailed that. Excuse my language.
You called me out months ago where I was like, I'm never gonna touch Destiny, and you're like, you're gonna play 60 hours of that game at least.
Yeah.
And look at me now. So it was like that weird. Like I wanted to talk about it, but like I knew Destiny is more of your thing, so I wanted to wait for you to talk about it. So we talked about the raid specifically last week.
I still have thoughts on that. Before we get started, this is a weekly talk show. You can find it every Wednesday. It goes up 12 Pacific time. We're on iTunes. We're on YouTube. We are on whatever Android people listen to podcasts on. I imagine they just put their ear to the ground. I'm just making fun of Androids for the sake of making fun of them. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
I'm sorry, Android listeners. You're very important.
We're sorry to all of the Android users,
Now,
except Andy Cortez.
Well, Andy, you slapped the living crap out of Andy.
I did slap Andy the other day.
Not cool.
I mean, it was fine. It was one of those friendly slaps that he will just never let me live down.
Well, I mean, it didn't look that friendly when you hit him in the face. I'm just gonna say.
I didn't. It was supposed to be like a light, sort of this, and then he moved, and I slapped his. It was like the angle that like my hand came to his neck. It was just like a real loud slap, and his neck was really red for the rest of the day.
So yeah, Destiny 2 came out.
Yeah.
And as someone whose life basically revolves around that game for a year and a half, and now my life revolves around Destiny again. Can't wait for reset day. Come hit 305 this week, I think.
Yeah, you think you're gonna?
If I could just get a kinetic mod to drop, man.
Yeah, Danny is the strongest 303 I've ever seen on the planet.
Yeah, it's pretty good, I guess. I need a kinetic mod. It's awesome to be back. It's awesome that everybody loves Destiny.
Yeah,
like now it's
because
cool
it actually
Destiny.
It's cool because it like actually launched well. You know, like I feel like even though you were such a big fan of the first Destiny, even you got burned out on it because of how repetitive it was at one point.
Destiny was not good until May.
Yeah,
when Trials launched. Trials launched in May in the House of Wolves expansion and Wolves expansion, and then that game was like, oh, I have something to actually look forward to. You're right. Before that, Vault of Glass is a cool raid. Crota is completely broken. So like, they also had to make Crota in 3 weeks. There's a bunch of reasons why that doesn't work, but it is awesome to have the game out launching. Like, this is like very Taken King-esque. In fact, one of my criticisms is that it feels just like Taken King.
Okay.
And that like kind of upsets me a little bit. I mean, the story is like slightly better, but it's not that much better than Taken King.
Okay, so you're comparing just the main story of Destiny 2 to the Taken King.
This feels like a huge expansion. Because we're not fighting any new enemies.
Yeah.
All the classes are the exact same classes from the last game with the exception of Sentinel Shield.
Yeah.
And like, I guess Dawnblade, but no one uses Dawnblade because it's not a very strong class. And you die instantly. If you pop Dawnblade in a multiplayer match, you just die. And like, Stormcaller's just a better ad clearing class, and don't even get me started on the like war crimes they've committed against hunters. Like it's
people are
atrocious.
like have been saying a lot that like if you're new to Destiny, like the last class you'll want to pick is Hunter because the other two are so super like overpowered, especially Titans.
Need to get nerfed immediately.
We've been playing some PvP like the last couple of weeks. You tried to take me through trials, I think, a couple of times at this point, and the one thing I've learned is that the Titan shield super is just ridiculous.
The Sentinel shield.
Yeah,
it's also crazy because like one of the big things that made the Hunter was the best class in the last game, in my opinion, like without a doubt, PvP and PvE, and maybe they
also look the coolest.
They also, without a doubt, look the coolest. They needed to take that down a notch because I just felt like the Hunter always had the right answer. There were things, of course, of the other like they weren't. It wasn't so strong that anybody only played Hunters, but like Gold Gun was a really strong special, and then for PvE, Nighthawk was really strong. Night Stalker, the bow is great, and then like Arc Blade was fine. It wasn't, but like Blade Dancer, which was what Arc Strider is in this, was like,
Arc Blade is like the blue one, right? Yeah, that's the one I use the least.
Yeah, so in this one, it's called Arc Strider, and they've taken out your ability to move forward and attack at the same time.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I've noticed that. It's like when you do like press R2 to attack, like you stop and like swing or whatever.
Yeah. So Arc Blade used to just let you dance across the sky. You would just hit R1 and you would have this huge striking attack that would go forward. And you just killed everything near you. Now, was that a little broken? I don't think so, because I think that I think it balanced it well. I think the other, like Gold Gun in the last game was still the best super in the game.
Yeah.
It just flat out wins rounds of trials. You can pop a Gold Gun, you should kill 3 people. It's a one-shot kill. You don't even have. But now, what made Gold Gun so great in the last game is that like
even if someone had a super, you'd be able to do it.
If someone like pops Storm Trance, you just blast them with Gold Gun and they die. It was a perfect counter super.
Yeah.
And so was Night Stalker. Night Stalker, I used to run Night Stalker just to counter people who played hammers. Because like hammers in the last game were homing hammers that would go completely around corners at like 90-degree angles and kill you.
Oh, jeez.
It was like...
So they were like almost like those tracking like rockets almost.
It was so... they nerfed them pretty quick. They also could survive 2 headshots with a sniper. And like they would also take 2 Gold Gun shots to kill.
Jeez.
That's the only ult in the game that did that. But now, Night Stalker, if you hit somebody directly with a bow, it doesn't kill them. And it doesn't stop their super for another 1.5 seconds. So someone can throw
there's still like that
2 hammers after being hit with Void Bow and kill 4 people. And just to be like, oh, I guess my super...
And even Gold Gun is like, you
have to headshot them.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to me. It's Gold Gun I mean, you can't even kill somebody if they go up for a Nova Bomb. You have to headshot them.
Yeah.
And Striker Titan gets 3 to 4 strikes on his Titan. Like, oh, and they have the best grenade in the game, Pulse Grenade. One of the only
Pulse
grenades
grenade
that
is really crazy.
Flat out kills you.
Yeah.
Like, I've been experimenting, and there's no grenade in the game that a Hunter has that will kill you from 0 HP. Like, if someone has 100% health and you stick a trip mine directly next to the wall next to them, it will do 95% damage. Which is crazy to me. Like, it's just like
you have to, like, for that sort of trip mine, you really have to follow up with another shot.
And it's like,
and that's if every single one of like
grenade doesn't kill somebody. It's just really annoying.
Yeah, and that's if every single one of those like little guys actually hits them.
That's swarm. Yeah. So like the swarm grenade, you won't. That only takes down like their shield and like 10% of their health.
Yeah.
That's great for zoning. I use swarm grenade to make it so people don't go certain places.
Yeah, so you can sort of try to trap them and like make them go a specific way.
So like I'm upset with what they did with hunters. I think that every hunter like subclass needs a buff. Like you need to just make them slightly stronger.
Yeah.
Gold Gun should kill somebody. I mean, I guess they really like the whole precision Gold Gun thing.
Yeah.
And that's fine, I guess. Whatever.
That's the one that gives you 6 shots or whatever.
No, that's like the way of the gun.
Okay.
That's like fine. If I need to headshot somebody in hammers to kill them, whatever. But like you have to buff the grenades. And hunters have like they could shade step, but you know, a warlock can just start healing instantly.
Yeah.
And a titan can just put up a shield. And what did I do? I can roll. Woo-hoo.
Do a barrel roll.
Like it just feels like they're just so underpowered. And this is like, for the people who don't know, I play PvP very like pretty much the entire thing I do in Destiny is play PvP.
Yeah.
I've gone flawless in this new trials, which I have a lot of thoughts on, but I'm not like, it's not that I can't play well with the hunter. It just feels very underpowered.
So do you think they should
everyone else.
do you think they should split the difference of like how like they were the best class in the first one, and now they feel a little underpowered. Do you think all they need to do is split the difference to make everything feel a little more balanced, or do you think they should be brought back up to what they were at in Destiny 1?
As someone who plays Hunter, of course, I would like them to be the best class. But I still think that Hunter is the best PvE class in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And like people are going to shake their heads because they're not good at ad clearing. But
Yeah.
the Celestial Nighthawk is so powerful.
Yeah.
Like having that ability to just be like one shot every yellow bar. Like, oh God, we were playing the Nightfall and the tank came up and I just one shot it. And I was like, all right, well, get its thing down. We broke its shield with Merciless and I just Nighthawked it and killed it.
Yeah.
And so I definitely think that is they're still like completely viable in PvE. There's like they take a lot of damage and die, like they can die a lot.
Yeah.
I don't, but like they can. But yeah, I think that they just need their grenades fixed.
Okay.
That's like if you just fix their grenade,
Then it should be like
then
fine.
it should be okay.
And then maybe like some of the Titan stuff I do think
that just need to be nerfed. Yeah, like I don't think that you can make the Hunter gold gun send people to orbit after they get shot, and it's still not as powerful as the striker. Like the Titans are just so strong, and they get two. They get the best grenade in the game, and they get two of them.
Oh, they get like they can use this.
They
two
can
in a
just.
row. Oh, that's
That's crazy, man. Like, and that's
not
how
fair.
people are. That's how people are one phasing Callus. They have like three people run. They're like ding ding, and it just like pulses nonstop. So I mean, it's a very very strong class right now. Very strong.
So what are your thoughts on Trials then? You've gone flawless, which is awesome. Congrats on that.
I don't like that Trials is 4 people.
It used to be 3.
It used to be 3, and it used to only be elimination, and now it's 4, and it's countdown and survival. And like survival was supposed to be this weekend, but the map was broken.
Yeah.
So they had to like emergency recall
And
it.
survival is more of just like you just kill the other team.
You have 8 lives split between you all.
Yeah.
And that one's I think going to be a little bit easier to carry.
Yeah.
Right now the big problem that Destiny is running into is we're in what's called the Mida meta, where,
yes.
and if you are not team shooting,
Yep.
you're gonna lose every goddamn game you play. It's just if you run into a team, this is what happened. We learned this last night, like, and it's something we already knew, but like. We would be like completely destroying people, and then like we would get a little confident, and spread out a little bit, and then we'd be like dink dead, dink dead, dink dead, dink dead. It's a 4-shot kill to the head with Mida. 4 shots. That just means if the first person that runs, everybody just stops and shoots him once, he dies.
Yeah.
And with that little time of recovery, I get Trials is supposed to be really competitive, and I have no real problem with it. But if you're trying to make this, as they claim, more friendly to beginners.
Yeah.
That's not friendly, guys. Yeah. And right now, statistically, 38% of all kills in Crucible are with Mida.
Yeah.
38% of
everybody
all
sort
kills.
of figured out like that meta.
If you were to like take Uriel's Gift, Mida, and Last Hope, I guarantee you it's like 75% of all kills.
Oh wow.
So I think that there needs to be some sweeping changes if they're going. The Mida is just too easy to use.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, Nameless Midnight can beat a Mida out in certain situations, but you can't miss.
Yeah.
If you miss one shot, Mida kills you.
Yeah.
Or if one other person that just shoots so fast and it hits so hard that it like jacks your aim up. So, and I just really hate that you have to be 4, because like having it be 4 people in Trials makes it really hard for me to like fill a team sometimes, like with people that know how to play Trials, because usually it's like
you guys were having some trouble last night because it was like no one was really on.
And like I have 700 people on my friends list, and I have like 150 of them were playing Destiny. So it was just hard for us to find another person. Danny and I were struggling, and Fred were struggling to find a third. But normally we could just jump in Trials and have a good time. But I think that I need to play it a little bit more and I was lagging really bad. Really bad.
Yeah, you finally ran a really long Ethernet cord like all through it.
I went from
you sneaked it through like.
I went from 40 down to 400 down.
Yeah.
So it's the huge.
I mean, like the internet, it's just like Wi-Fi connection is always sort of iffy. So it's just like.
I did read on Twitter somebody saying that the biggest problem that they're having with Destiny is that they're spoiled by Overwatch. And I agree. Because I'm coming from a game with dedicated servers, which this game does not have.
Oh, yeah. I remember when we talked about that, yeah.
With 60 frames per second, which this game does not have.
Yeah.
And with a game that forces you to game chat. I've been playing this. I'm 100 hours into this game. I just figured out how to get into Fireteam chat. I'm not even
Yeah, it's like that weird, like it'll only pop up for a couple seconds when you join someone.
That's a problem.
And then it's like you use the sort of the buttons like back and forth to like join like your fire team chat only or party chat or whatever. It's like, yeah, it was not super obvious. We've just been using like the PSN like party chat because I didn't know how fire team chat worked.
And that is a problem because
and a lot of people, and it's like, it might be sometimes because there's 3 of us playing at the same time, but I feel like we've had a lot of troubles like noticing when we're in a fire team, like we're not using the fire team chat, but a lot of problems was like, the Wi-Fi, or like one person's thing is like not running as fast as everybody else, so they can't use fire team chat. We're not using it, so it's not like that big of a deal, but it sometimes
having NAT issues.
Yeah, like a lot of people are having NAT issues, which is
people are getting
weird.
DDoS too.
Yeah,
there's no program set up to stop that.
Yeah.
I got DDoS in a competitive game the other day, just a competitive game, not even trials. You know, I was like, I'm working on trying to get my KD up in competitive, and then I'm like on a 20 kill streak. And then all of a sudden, my kills get reset. They don't count, and we end up losing the game when we're like, I'm just running into a wall for 4 minutes, and all of a sudden the team just gets wiped. Oh, man. And I was like, what the hell is this? So I think Destiny has some problems. I'm definitely spoiled by Overwatch. It's like,
well, I wouldn't say like Overwatch is something that should make you feel spoiled. I feel like Overwatch was a game that definitely felt like it was supposed to set the standard, you know, like this is what online multiplayer stuff should be, you know. And I think it's crazy that one of the biggest sort of online MMO, I don't know what the hell you really call Destiny, but like
world shooter.
Yeah, like that it doesn't have any of that, you know. And it's and also the game itself, like Andy Cortez, we were playing one day, and he was just talking about like how it's not like a huge graphical leap or anything. Like it looks a big expansion. It looks like a lot like
a good one.
Yeah, it's a really good one. I really like it, but like there are just little things that it's like you guys had a couple years to do this. Like you can think of anything to push this.
My whole thing with it is that Overwatch came out a year ago. Overwatch has only been on the market for about a year.
Yeah.
I wonder if by the time Overwatch came out and really became successful and like set that new standard, if it was too late to pivot on what
maybe
Destiny was doing. Because Destiny has been in development since probably Taken King.
Okay.
So like I think that after Taken King happened, they took that team and split it to make the new game. In order to get that game out 2 years after Taken King, they had to use a lot of the same assets. And they, at that time, with the exception of like Halo and like some other games on console, not a lot of games were running 60 frames per second.
It's true.
With dedicated servers on console. I know like PC nerds are going to freak out, but that's cool.
120 frames.
I play on 1 million frames per second.
1 billion frames.
It's so smooth that I look at my real life and can't handle it.
It's smooth like a baby's bottom.
That they looked at Overwatch and was like, shit.
Yeah.
We can't do that.
Yeah.
Like it's too late. It would have to be delayed, and then they didn't want to do that. So that's just like speculation. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you Destiny 3 60 frames per second
on the PlayStation 5.
Yeah, cuz there's no way that they would be able to do that twice where they kind of just jack it. I don't know. It definitely feels like a big expansion to me. Like even the raid is I think the raid is cool, and I'm glad that so many people are playing the raid for the first time.
Yeah. But cuz I like the thing Danny and I talked about last week was Danny really likes it and I really like it because of the way it forces you to sort of do the whole team thing, right? Like Destiny, or like he was saying that in Destiny 1, like there was a lot of ways to cheese it and for people to carry and all this stuff.
You can still carry now.
Well,
now
yeah, but like to like sort of make your team communicate with each other, of like 3 people going out of the like on the Callus fight at the end, of like 3 people going out and like the other 3 people have to read the symbols and all this stuff. Like the way they sort of like force you guys to like work as a team is like pretty cool.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it like the Callus fight reminds me of like Atheon, who is the first raid boss, and like other mechanics. The symbols mechanic is definitely brand new, and I like that mechanic a lot. I think that's ingenious.
Yeah.
It's also incredibly frustrating if you don't have Danny Juarez with you. I've learned the hard way.
My man.
The funny thing is like Danny, Zyger, and I are so efficient at the inside that now when I do it with anybody else, I have virtually zero tolerance. I'm like, are you kidding me right now?
I'm pretty good at the inside.
That's like, it was funny. Like I was texting Danny, we were like doing something. I was like, I need you. I need you. I know you're out having a life, but like I'm calling you in. I'm calling in a favor. You gotta go home, man. And then Danny came on. It was like that scene from Predator where Arnold Schwarzenegger sees Dylan. He's like, Dylan, you son of a bitch. It was definitely nice, but yeah, I like the raid. Now that everybody's 300 and that we're all crazy strong, I could bring
really easy
anybody through that raid. I think you could 5 basically, as long as that person has a pulse, you could get through the end of the raid and like, just stand in the corner. But like luckily we beat it with Andrew, Renee, and Greg, and that was their first raid in Destiny 2 that they beat, which was really cool and special. And they were both really good, so it was easier for us to
sort of bring in newer people
to
because
sort of,
they
like,
were
just
have
like,
their minds wrapped around it.
And it's funny because like obviously they play a ton of video games, and like Andrea plays a ton of Destiny, so it wasn't hard to be like, hey, do this, and everybody was like, yeah, this is perfect. And like we basically one phase the dogs, which is cool. Like I said, now that we're so strong, it makes it like, I don't know how anybody gets through that rate at 260. Like I don't know how anybody gets through the
I think it's crazy that the game itself says 260 plus. It's like how?
It has been interesting for me to watch people.
Oh no, the game itself says 270 plus.
Yeah,
but it was
the creative lead.
Yeah, he tweeted out 260 to 280. It's like,
so you better have some pretty good 260s out there.
Maybe high 270 on. You know?
It's one of those things where I lost my train of thought, and then I like it a lot though. It's definitely one of those things where I'm going to be playing the raid a lot. I'm excited to go through it again. I'm building up my Titan right now because I want to have the most strong character in the game. So Titan is the only
way to really do that.
Way to do it. Yeah. But I don't know how anybody can get through that raid at 260. The dog phase is so hard.
I've really liked my time with it. I'm probably going to be dropping in and out every once in a while.
That's the beautiful thing is it's always there for you.
Yeah. Like I do, like we always joke is like, yo, we going flawless right now? It's like, is that what we're going to do right now?
Yeah.
So like, I do kind of want to try trials today, but like, it's also that like Danny and I made a promise to Andrew Goldfarb that we would go back to Persona 5 and try to beat Persona 5 by the end of the year. Cause we ain't no Greg Miller. We commit to that kind of that commitment, you know. Greg Miller can go on and be like, yeah, I'll beat Persona 5 by the end of the year. Where you at, Greg?
Leave Greg alone. Right? Greg's having a good time.
He's having a good time.
He's being a hunter. He's got a Titan in the works right now. I'm pretty sure.
That's awesome.
Leave my boy alone.
Play Persona 5, Greg.
I'm happy that people are playing my game. Right? I said it before. Like it used to be like, what are you doing? I'm going to go home and play Destiny. You still play Destiny? I'm like, yeah, it's fun. And now it's like, everybody's like, oh, yeah, I love Destiny. I'm like, you don't even know about the Thorn of the Hawkmoon. Shut up. You don't know the pain of the grind. Talk to Fred Sullivan about the grind. Fred played Destiny when it wasn't fun. And
Fred
played
Sullivan?
a lot of Destiny.
Master of grinding.
Yeah, he grinds it all night and all day. He's like 290. He's never even done the raid. He's just in there just grinding it.
Yeah, I started playing Persona 5 again last night. I left off on the date because it goes sort of by dates.
6x9.
Yeah, 6-9. I was like, yeah, nice.
What are other video games like, Barrett?
I don't know. I've really
played 2 video games in 3 years.
Persona 5, I went back to it and it like immediately, it was one of those things where it's when you think about a game and you're like, I don't really want to go. Like, it feels like such like a, not a wait, but like such a chore to go back to this game. And then like that's what I thought about Persona 5 for the last couple months. And then when I went back into it last night, I was immediately like, fuck, I love this game so much. Yeah, dude.
Anime
dancing. Yeah, exactly. And even like the moment
turn
wasn't
around,
even,
your hair's like
yeah, that's what I like to do when I play Persona 5. I just get like all real emo.
I come in here, you're in a black trench coat. What are you doing?
I'm a phantom thief, Sean. It's not a phase.
I don't even know what that is. Life. What's a phantom thief?
But it was even with like a minor character where it was like a minor moment that like got me like, oh my god, this game is so great with all of his characters. Where Morgana the cat refers to as the sort of man, like the landlord that like your sort of landlord worker.
So your landlord's
boss.
a cat?
No, your cat's your friend. You have a landlord who is like sort of looking after you because you've been sent away from your hometown, basically. And
Is he a person?
Yeah, he is a person.
Not a friend.
No. And the cat refers to the landlord as chief. And I forgot, just like that little thing where he always refers to him as chief. And I was like, oh.
Where does the Montezumas come in?
The what?
The Montezuma?
I don't know. Danny, what is he referring to?
Montekuma?
He's referring to Danganronpa.
Danganronpa?
Yeah, you're referring to Danganronpa.
Danganronpa.
Which is more of like a story-centric, not a lot of like RPG elements from what I understand. It's like... Yeah, it's like a visual novel, where Persona is more of like there is a grind, there is like strategy to fights and whatnot. So yeah, going back into Persona 5, so I'm anime trash for the next half of the year. But let's talk about this Red Dead possible announcement thing that's like happening tomorrow, I guess. They like vaguely announced like this thing that they're doing on Thursday. Like they said months ago, right? That it was like, we'll have news later this summer. And last week Thursday was the end of the summer, so they messed up.
Oh well.
But on the last day of summer,
Rockstar thing got delayed.
They said on the last day of summer we have more to talk about next week. So what do you think we're gonna hear for about Red Dead?
It's a Westworld game. It's gonna it's gonna be a Westworld game with samurais and the Monokumas.
Yeah. Do you think we're gonna get like an actual date? Do you think we're
no, I think this is the announcement.
Do you think they're like gonna keep to the date though?
Yeah, I think the game is probably already done or close.
Yeah.
So here's my thing with it is Rockstar notorious for delays.
Yeah. I mean,
GTA
GTA 5 was delayed, yeah.
Red Dead was delayed. So I think that they're going to do the Fallout thing and be like, this game is available in April.
See, with the Fallout thing was like, I feel like the Fallout announcement was way more impressive though, right? Where they announced that at E3 and Fallout 4 was going to come out in like 2.5 months or
September.
something. Yeah, it was like 3 months later. And this one is a little less like, we've known, it's been coming along for a while. So like the only thing that would really impress me of a date if it was like somehow still coming out in like December or something.
If that game launched in December, first of all,
that would be crazy.
Buy Zelda. Second of all, like that would be like it's never gonna happen. But I would love if it was like, hey guys, so we were working on this cowboy game or whatever. You could buy it on PSN right now. And it was like Red Dead. The Zelda edition, like that's what I think it would be hilarious.
Because that would actually like make a lot of sense if like they're like, oh hey, we're gonna like push it, and they might have just wanted to like say that they were pushing it just to make sure that they could actually like hit the date of this year or like hit this year at all. So that would actually be like a really clutch like total pivot of like, yeah, we thought we were gonna have to delay it to 2018, but it's actually gonna come out in a couple months. That would be crazy, but like.
It would be so unprecedented, especially for Rockstar.
Yeah, but like what I'm expecting, this is probably what's going to happen. They'll be like, it's in April, and we'll be like, okay, cool.
But they'll launch a trailer, and it'll set the world on fire. Yeah. Rockstar is
there's just something about Rockstar.
Such an anomaly. They're like this is such a stupid thing to say, but they're the rock stars of this industry.
Like people outside of like our realm talk about Rockstar and like
Grand Theft Auto still sells.
Yeah,
I mean, blessing. Shout out to OK Beast just made a great video essay. I'm like, that game is still selling.
Yeah,
well, and that's not even a good game. Like Grand Theft Auto 5 is like very.
Yeah, when you go back, like I remember when I first played it, I was like really blown. It was like the first like Grand Theft Auto story that I was like actually into and stuff, and then. I like only played like multiplayer for about a year, and then I dropped off, and then I went back and played the story, and I was like, oh man, this story is not good.
The whole game doesn't really age that well in my opinion. But it's funny because I was just in a conversation with my boss at work, and he was like, yeah, can you believe that Grand Theft Auto didn't win Game of the Year the year it came out? And I was like, yeah, I can. The Last of Us came out. Calm yourself.
Oh yeah.
But anyway,
it's so weird to think that came out the same year.
Yeah, that was a stacked year. BioShock Infinite also came out that year.
Yeah, boy.
A game that you should check out where we talk about it on the B list, and by we I mean him, and it's like, well, that games are not really good. The whole thing with Red Dead is that they changed their Twitter icon from a gray R to a red R, and the whole goddamn world lost their mind. It was like, I stopped the presses. Doesn't even like. It was just like my entire Twitter feed like, and it was like, Because we all want Red Dead.
It was just like this little thing. Like they were obviously like doing
They're
like
just
a
so
nod.
gangster.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like. Yeah.
They don't need any and that's why they're never at E3. They're like they just don't. They don't need.
Yeah.
They don't.
They're
need
like,
it.
shut up, you'll play. It's that South Park thing. Shut up, you'll
like,
buy it.
Fuck you, you'll play it anyway.
Yeah. They could come out and be like, all right, so the main character, what are people not liking? Is Donald Trump. All right, and he's a cowboy man named Donald Trump. And he has to take over the wild, wild west with his friend
Kafif.
Yeah, and people be like, yeah, pre-order, buy in full, please. Like it's one of those things.
Rockstar,
Anybody will play it.
Yeah.
Rockstar. This is interesting because like Red Dead is not as successful as Grand Theft Auto, obviously, and everybody
way
loves
better than Grand Theft Auto.
and it's without a doubt better than Grand Theft Auto. I'm interested to see how this one is received because obviously. It'll probably be a great game and we'll love it and the industry will love it. It'll sell well. It'll have Game of the Year buzz. But I remember that being a big deal because it was sold out everywhere. No one could buy it.
Okay.
Like physically, I was working at GameStop when this game came out.
I remember I borrowed it from a friend. So.
Yeah, so you couldn't find the game, physical copy of it, pretty much anywhere.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see how well it sells because I want this to do Grand Theft Auto numbers. Red Dead if I remember correctly, didn't do Grand Theft Auto numbers.
Yeah.
It did really well, but it didn't like blow the world away. Next week, I think we see a full trailer, not a teaser.
Well, it's tomorrow. By the time this episode goes up, it's tomorrow.
I think we see a full trailer. They introduce the new main character.
Yeah. So what do you think about this multiplayer theory as well? Like they put out that like poster with like the 7 characters or whatever. Do we think they're gonna do a GTA 5 style thing where instead of 3 characters, 7, and like you can change characters at any time?
I hope not.
Yeah. I feel like it was a little much. Like I feel like for GTA 5, it was like sort of it was an interesting idea, but I never found myself using it a lot, especially like in the missions where like there's all 3 of them. Like I would only change when like the game itself made me like, hey, you have to change this character now.
Yeah. Who'd you play a lot?
Usually it was not Trevor, not Michael.
Franklin.
Franklin.
Played a lot of Trevor.
Yeah, Trevor was fun because like you felt like you could mess around with him without having any consequences.
You felt like a Grand Theft Auto character?
Yeah,
like you
exactly.
felt like Trevor is the embodiment of everybody playing that game.
Yeah.
And the other 2 characters are like characters.
Yeah.
My Trevor was like really funny looking. He has bald with a giant beard and a tuxedo. And so I was like, yeah, he looks cool. I'm going to play as him.
I was like playing as Franklin.
I like Franklin a lot. I like that voice actor a lot too. Really nice guy.
So yeah, I hope they don't go with that whole thing. I hope that poster is more of like a tease of like you're part of this like gang or whatever, and because there's rumors that this is a prequel to the first one.
I hate prequels so much
because John Marston, the guy you play as in the first one, he used to be part of like this gang like back in the day, and that's why the government was using him to like take out all of these people so like he wouldn't get screwed over by the government, like taken in jail or anything. So
I want to kill Jesse James.
That would be cool. See, I would like if they like leaned more into like bringing historical figures, like because I was playing Assassin's Creed a lot this last week, and it was cool like playing even playing Assassin's Creed 3, which is so bad, but it's still cool to like now like meet Charles Lee, and Charles Lee is like when you play the beginning of AC3, like you're playing the bad guy for the first 2 hours. And Charles Lee is like that dude's right hand man, and Charles Lee, from what I remember of the campaign, is sort of like the main bad dude in the game. Like like the dad is like the sort of the one sort of Templar that you take down, but Charles Lee is the last guy you take down. And like I remember like
does John Lawrence shoot him?
I don't remember. Like that game is very hazy, but I remember the last scene with Charles Lee, and I remember like, and then playing through it, and like even like 15 minutes in, like meeting Ben Franklin and all this stuff. Like, oh man, this is like really cool. So like that would be cool for Red Dead to sort of bring those kind of elements. And like,
I'd love that. I don't think they will, but that would be cool. Like just like Billy the Kid, or like someone just like some nod to the real like Old West people. But I mean, I love Red Dead.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I love those. I love that game. I didn't beat Red Dead. I got to Mexico and stopped it.
Yeah, Mexico. When you get to Mexico, it definitely lingers a little bit. I remember
Can't play it anywhere now though.
Yeah,
I tried to play it on PlayStation Now, and that is the worst service that people willingly give money to somebody for.
Yeah,
oh my god,
it's not great.
Oh my god, dude, it's unplayable.
Just sell the games on the store and we'll buy it.
Jeez, dude, I was so upset because I was like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna play through Red Dead.
Yeah,
and then it was like.
It's like really
lagging.
choppy and
like,
framing,
yeah. It's 2017, man. We can fake a moon landing, but we can't get a damn game to play digitally. I don't actually believe we faked the moon landing.
So we also saw Kingsman 2: The Golden Circle.
And I got a golden. Never mind.
Yesterday, we saw it, and I watched Kingsman for the first time on Friday night to sort of like lead into.
What a great weekend for you.
Yeah, it was really fun. Danny and I watched the first one together, and that was like a really fun. Like I didn't experience it the way I should have, which is like how everybody else did. When like they went into it not really knowing like what it was going to be, and then be like being blown away by how over the top it was and stuff. And I was sort of already expecting like how over the top it was. So like going into it, like I don't think I was like blown away like everybody else was, like seeing it like the opening weekend, but I still like had a lot of fun. And I could say the same for Kingsman 2. I feel like Kingsman 2 has been weird. Like it's been getting like mixed reviews. Like I think on Rotten Tomatoes it's at like a 50% right now.
Weird. I thought that was so
yeah, and I thought like, to me, I enjoyed it as much as the first one.
Yeah, me too.
Like I feel like some of the complaints was like it loses the originality of the first one. I was like, well, that's because now you're expecting of what
it's a sequel, dummy.
Yeah. And so it was like, I don't know if people made that same sort of like complaint to 22 Jump Street, but they're like, yeah, like the sort of the same jokes, but it's still so funny. It was like, yeah, but Kingsman 2 is like that too, but why does it get like points knocked off for that?
Well, people don't like the whole. There's a scene in Kingsman with like.
There's a little controversial scene with.
But like, here's my whole thing with the controversial scene is that they're making fun of a spy trope.
Yeah.
This whole movie is a James Bond parody.
Yeah, the entire series is a James Bond parody.
Yeah.
And like, even like at the end of Kingsman 1 with the whole the butt joke at the end. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
And
and they do that joke again, and it's funnier.
Yeah, and I don't know. I didn't think like I understand people's complaint. I don't want to go too into like what it was.
Spoil it.
I don't want to spoil it, and it's also a little too much to describe.
But here's the
thing:
it's like everything's willing. It's not like I don't know.
I understand people's complaints, but but they're also making fun of James Bond.
Yeah,
and like,
they're making fun of how stupid this is.
Yeah, exactly.
Like seduce the woman. They're making fun of. They're like, that's a dumb thing.
Yeah,
so
and they even sort of comment. They even like give him struggle of like he calls Tildy and
his like girlfriend.
Yeah, and he's like upset. He's like, I don't want to do this, and I love you, but like they're making me do it. And it's like it's. I thought it was. I didn't think it was bad. I thought it was like. I thought his struggle with it was actually really funny, and like it was more of them showing off of like. Yeah, this is dumb, and people like to make people try to do this is messed up, you know. So
yeah,
so yeah, like whatever. But the rest of Kingsman, I really enjoyed. I really liked Elton John was great in it.
Great in it, yeah. Elton John was also watching the movie with Danny Juarez way better than watching the movie without
we got to
Danny
see every movie with Danny Juarez, and I recommend you see every movie with Danny Juarez because any little joke, he just starts cracking up, and it makes just. One little thing just 10 times funnier, and it's so great.
Whoever reviewed that movie, I dare them to review it sitting next to Danny Juarez.
They're like,
see, there it is.
They'll do like 10 out of 10 best movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was like really fun, like great. Like I don't think I have like a lot of like overall things that, like new to say about Kingsman 2 that I wouldn't have already said about Kingsman 1. Like great ensemble cast, like good chemistry with everybody.
The marketing gave too much away.
Marketing did give too much away, and the interviewer, the director, Matthew Vaughn, with an interview with IGN, said like he wasn't happy with how they revealed that Colin Firth's character was alive, which would have been like such a crazy moment to experience.
And the way it's shot, that scene clearly supposed to be a reveal.
Yeah,
like it's like
so that bums me out that there was like
shot and then like big reveal.
It bums me out that there wasn't. Obviously there wasn't a lot of communication with marketing and like the actual like people working on the project of like, hey, like let's not show this. This is a good moment to show off. Like it
That whole intro fight scene is like they do such a good job. I was so upset because I was getting food during the intro fight scene.
Yeah, your
because
food took a while.
it took like 4. I like went back and like kind of yelled at your friend. I'm sorry, your friend like
He wasn't my friend. I vaguely knew him.
I like came out and I was like, hey, it's been 45 minutes. What's going on? He never put the order through.
Oh my gosh.
So he was like, I'll double check on it, and then 20 minutes later, my food was ready.
Jeez.
But so that
I'm not
whole,
gonna shout out his name, but come on, man.
that whole intro fight scene in the car is so cool, and it reminds me. So like that intro fight scene in Kingsman 1 in the what's it called, the snowy mountain.
Yeah.
That. When I went in to see, Jenna and I were originally supposed to go see 50 Shades of Grey, which came out the same day. And as we were there, Jenna, being the cool person that she is and all of her infinite wisdom, was like, calling an audible, we should go see Kingsman. And I was like, don't know what that is, but ... yes. Walked in, and when the first guy gets cut in half.
Shout out to James Norrington from Pirates of the Caribbean.
I was like, oh, where am I? Like,
what is this magical land I've discovered?
And they were using jujitsu, and like I had a smile on my face that was like this big the whole film. I love Kingsman, and then it was like no one was talking about it really that I knew, so it was like I had this little secret.
Yeah,
it was like I was like everybody has to go see Kingsman. It's so good. And this movie, it was nice to go in, and this movie, Alex Salamita describes this movie as Fast and Furious once Fast and Furious stopped trying to be realistic and just decided to be Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
Like when it understood what it was. This movie clearly knows what it is.
Yeah.
And the movie just starts with a guy with a robot arm, and they're fighting inside a little British car.
Yeah.
And Eggsy gets hit and on the door, and then the door, this is in the trailer.
Yeah.
He like jumps over the car and then lands back on it. I was like,
this is crazy.
God, it's good to be back. And then the whole driving scene where he's like drifting across it's just so good. It's exactly what I wanted.
Yeah, and I thought the chemistry between everybody was cool. I thought like the sort of B line with Colin Firth's character was awesome.
Yeah,
how
both stories were very interesting.
How they dealt with like sort of his like memory loss and sort of how they bring him back. I thought was really cool. Of like sort of like homages to the first one.
That's not how I thought it was going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, I liked what they did better.
Yeah.
And, like, how he's not, like, 100% normal. Afterwards, it's
still, like,
shot in the head is, like, traumatizing.
Yeah.
And the science, I think Halle Berry, they wasted Channing Tatum's character in that movie.
Yeah,
100%.
Channing Tatum's character is, like, when they go to America, he's probably in, like, 2 scenes. Yeah. And then he's, like, basically, like...
sidelined.
Yeah, he's like out basically until the very
they
literally put him on ice until the very end of the movie, and it's like, wow,
that's a great actor you wasted.
Yeah, like he's actually really good and funny, and he's proven to be really good in these types of movies. It's great you just used him for his name.
That really did stink.
Yeah.
But like my whole thing with that is if there is another one, which God I hope there is.
Yeah,
I think he'll be like. I would also totally see a Statesman movie, but like. I also like how statesmen's names are alcohol.
Yeah.
I'm tequila, and you just hear Danny Ware's like, it's what.
Yeah, like tequila, whiskey.
I want you to know from the bottom of my heart, I'm not making fun of you. Like,
yeah, we love
I
it.
love your laugh.
Your laugh is the best
If your laugh
laugh
could be my ringtone, I would literally have it as my alarm clock.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, so
it gets us through the day.
I think that they wasted Channing Tatum, but I hope they see him in another movie.
Yeah,
but
I feel like they will. Like, I don't know if they'll do a Statesman movie because just marketing. Like, how do you market that? Like, how does it relate to this and all this stuff? So I think it will be Kingsman 3, and I think he'll be like one of the other agents because like a bunch of people die in this movie. Like a bunch of like sort of core people were lost. So I feel like they are gonna bring him in for the next one and sort of like bring him in as like one of the core people. So.
I hope so. And also, so there's no church scene. But for you, seeing the church scene for the first time, that was pretty
seeing
wild.
the church
to Freebird.
Yeah, that was really good. That was really well edited and like just
the fake long take.
Yeah, and I've said this over many a show where I just love when something is edited so well to music. That's why I love Baby Driver so much, of just how well everything's shot and how well it syncs to music. And that scene was everything I love personified. And then
this movie has one with Elton John Saturday, which is all like when it's like
that last that sort of last climax
fight scene
is really really great. that sort of gets me sort of closer to another thing I have to say about the movie is I didn't who's the villain? Who plays the villain?
I don't know, but I like her.
I wasn't into it.
I liked her a lot.
She didn't feel as memorable as
Samuel L. Jackson.
Sammy J.
Yeah.
But she's a well-known actress. I'm mad at my
Julianne Moore.
Julianne Moore.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alyssa, who's not on set today. She's great, but like I don't know, it was like her whole gimmick, I don't know, it was a little like I liked the 50s nostalgia thing that they were really playing up, but like her just the way she was written I wasn't really into. But I did sort of like at the end where they're like induce her with the drug to like make her release the thing, and he accidentally like
kills
her
her.
OD. It was like, oh no.
Well, yeah, it makes her OD.
Yeah.
There's just one of those that the right before the last fight scene, that like part with Elton where he's like playing the piano and he's like Wednesday, and then the guy's like, isn't it supposed to be Saturday? And then it like cuts and it's like they start playing the song and the fight scene starts. You're like, damn, man. I was like, I leaned over to Fred and I was like, we need these movies forever. Like, never stop making these.
Yeah.
I don't care
every
if it's the
2
same
years.
movie every time.
It's like when Rick does like the Rick and Morty 75 years, 70 seasons until we get that stuff sponsored to us. It's like Kingsman 70 million years all the time, every day.
I love body, like, and it really does stem from my deep love of buddy cop movies.
Yeah.
Because this is like a buddy spy movie, and it's like, it's
so
like,
over the top.
Yeah, it's like, hey, Lethal Weapon, you know how in 4 you got a little weird? Watch this. It's like they just don't care, and it makes it so much better. And I think Eggsy's like really charming. Like I like him a lot.
And people were like, we were talking about like if he's going to be the main character in the next one. I would like to think he is because
me too.
I really like that actor. I like that character. It's really cool. So yeah,
go see Kingsman.
Kingsman
Seriously,
2.
it's so. And I was like, I've been championing Kingsman since the minute I walked out of that theater. I remember walking out of that theater and texting Nick Scarpino and being like, go see Kingsman right now. And he was like, all right. And he like went and saw it. And he was like, I was like, why does it look so good? Like, how do fight scenes look that pretty? It's like the most beautiful fight scenes I've ever seen.
Yeah. I think it was a good follow-up. I'm glad that like this series is based off a comic series by Mark Millar, who like is a very like 50-50 comic writer, so it's cool to see like a series of his take off, because like Kick-Ass like came out, and then like the second one was like
I liked the second one.
It did not perform well whatsoever, so it'll be interesting to see if this one like performs well considered next to the first one. You know?
I consistently go into his movies and know nothing about them. I saw Kick-Ass and I had no idea what it was. I saw it.
Kick-Ass.
I was like, this is a weird superhero movie. That guy just got his head cut off.
Something else we've been watching. You started it, and I didn't start it, but I jumped in on Danny Juarez's view, and I jumped in on the third episode. Is American Vandal?
Yeah.
What? So American Vandal, the premise is basically.
Now this is kind of a spoiler.
This is
like the premise of the movie. Like,
yeah.
So here's the thing: the best way to watch American Vandal, just go watch American Vandal.
Yeah, just go into it blind.
It's great. You really don't need to know anything else.
Yeah.
Now we're gonna talk about American Vandal.
Yeah.
So like,
not like full spoilers because Sean hasn't.
I'm only on the second episode.
Yeah.
But.
So we're gonna talk about premise and stuff. So if you like, we can't stress this enough. If you don't know anything about American Vandal,
and you don't want to know anything,
like just go and watch it. I will just say this right now. I think it is the best Netflix original ever.
All right, well, it must get much better because I just finished the fourth season of BoJack Horseman, and let me tell you, holy shit, is BoJack Horseman amazing. The world is not good enough for BoJack Horseman.
I haven't started season 4 of BoJack, but like just like. In general, as like a sort of property, like this wasn't like a Netflix idea. This was like a Funny or Die thing at first, and like these group of guys sort of like were trying to figure out like how to do this, and then they pitched it to Netflix, and Netflix was like, all right, let's do it. And I even compared to BoJack, I just like the way that this is made, and just like the yin and yang of how absurd but also how well it's done is just, it's masterful, you know. And like there are masterful episodes of BoJack Horseman, but like each episode,
man, 6 episodes of BoJack Horseman this season, dude.
I gotta get into it, but
so good.
Each episode of American Vandal, I didn't watch the first 2, so I don't know how the first 2 were, but like I was engaged, and like at one point I was outside talking to my dad, and like I missed out, and I was like, dang. But then Danny caught me up. I was like, all right, I'm into it. I'm back into it, boys. Let's go. So the premise of American Vandal, it's basically a mockumentary, sort of making fun of documentaries like Making a Murderer and Serial and all this stuff. But it's centered around if this sort of like loser stoner kid who usually does dumb things in high school actually spray painted a bunch of dicks on every teacher's car in the teacher parking lot.
Yeah. So now that doesn't sound very compelling.
No, it doesn't.
And I remember putting it on because Greg was like, hey, I'm going to watch an episode of American Vandal before the raid. Mm-hmm. And then when we got in the raid, I was like, what the hell is that? And he explained the show as a fake mockumentary about drawing dicks. And then I was like, I've known Greg for a long time.
Yeah.
I trust Greg.
Yeah.
I'm going to give this show a chance just on his word.
Yeah.
And I got through the first like half of the episode and I was like, this is funny, but there's no way they can make this premise interesting for 8 episods. There's no way.
It's so.
But then, like at the end of the first episode, I was like, God, what's gonna happen? Like, did he draw the dicks? Like, I was like, he's clearly being framed. This kid, did he hook up with this? Did he get a hand job from this girl? Like, I was like so invested. And then I was like, people were on for trial, so I had to get off. But I was like. And like that's why I was like upset yesterday when I realized you guys were watching. I was like, oh damn, I would have totally stopped playing and just come in and watched it with you guys. But like it's really compelling and
so
really
good.
well written.
It's like it's just so well done. Of like it feels just like an actual documentary where you're thinking of like. Every moment you're thinking, what's next? Like, how are they going to deal with this situation? Oh, new information popped up. Oh, they got screwed over with this information. Like
you're trying to figure it out.
Yeah, and it's like you're trying to figure it out alongside these kids, and it's so well done. But it's also like, but then you get taken out of it every once in a while, which is also smart. Of like the sort of moments they pick for them to take you out of it, where they're still like. Dumb high schoolers, so it's just like
they play those dumb high schoolers so well.
Yeah.
And like it's funny because like the YouTube channel that they have is a real YouTube channel. You can go and watch the videos. It's so funny. Like I love meta stuff like that, like where it's like a universe that exists onto itself.
Well, no, that YouTube channel actually existed before American Vandal. Like, that's
really?
actually like that's a group's YouTube channel.
Wayback Boys.
Yeah,
that's so funny.
I'm right. I think so. I think the Wayback Boys like actually existed before that.
It's just like a very, very smart, well-written show. The kid, the main kid, who is like being like either set up or maybe he did it.
Yeah,
it's like super funny.
Yeah,
and very oblivious.
He's in 22 Jump Street, and he is pretty good in that as well. And I don't think I've really seen him in anything else. But yeah, he is so good. And it's like this is like. All right, if you're trying to get into theater, if you're trying to get into acting, and you're looking for inspiration of like how to be like a character actor, how to get into method acting and all of this stuff, don't look at Jared Leto. Don't do that.
How do we bring it back to Jared Leto? How does Jared Leto get so much time on this show?
Jared Leto's trash. He is. And he's the worst example of when it comes to method acting. Don't send poop to other actors or dead rats or use condoms. Don't do that. Look at the kid who played Dylan in American Vandal and just like how into it. Like they're like just how in his shoes like he got into that character, because there are points where like, yeah, this kid's so dumb, but then he was able to bring like more depth to that character, and like there are parts like later on in the series where you're like, oh man, I really feel for him now. You know, it's like, yeah, this was a funny like sort of stretched out dick joke, but now it's like, oh, there's like feelings here and sort of emotional depth, and it's like so good.
The first episode's so funny because they're like breaking down what drawing a dick looks like, and he's like, "There's no ball hair." And he's like, "Dude, I always take time to do the ball hair. The ball hair is so important." Like, it's like so funny.
Yeah, this is like you'll get engrossed of like he'll go down the rabbit hole of like this student has this motivation because of this, and like. Dylan, like is the teacher innocent and all this stuff, and they're like, you're really into it, and then they'll take time to be like, dude, I didn't draw the hair, and then like they'll take a moment to like show like him drawing like dicks on the whiteboard and like doing the Instagram stuff. It's just so dumb and so funny. But
look, this guy's got he does mushroom tips. Like I never does that takes so much time, and so much effort, such a detail, but he doesn't do ball hair.
Yeah, and it's like it's this one, and without spoiling the rest of the show for you, the thing I have to say about this is like at first you're like, this is gonna be dumb. How are they gonna stretch this out for 8 episodes? And then by the end of the thing, it's like I think one of the smartest sort of things about character study and the pressure of being put under a microscope, not only with the situation you're being put in, like with this example, him being possibly framed for drawing these dicks, and in real life documentaries of like making a murder and all this stuff, but also the microscope that you're put under by being in this documentary like itself, right? And it's just, it was really smart and really well done. I can't recommend it enough. Like I honestly think it is the best Netflix original thing Netflix has ever done. So go check it out.
Yeah, please. Like, I'm so pumped to watch more.
Yeah, I'm really excited for you. I'm really excited for you to watch the rest of it. It's so good. Oh man, I love it. I might just watch it again. Anyway, that is sort of all we really have to talk about this week. But we went to you.
Bye.
We went to you, the viewers, and wanted to see what questions you had for us for this week.
You didn't tag me in a tweet, so I didn't retweet it. So
yeah,
I was
sorry
asleep.
about that. I figured you were asleep, so I was like, whatever. The first question comes from, I don't know this guy, Danny Juarez at Soaked Danny. He asks, what are some of the misconceptions you guys have noticed since being in the video game industry? That's a great question.
Yeah, biggest misconception is that people think people pay for reviews.
Yeah.
And at IGN, at least I can only ever speak for the place where I work.
Yeah.
They don't.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Like it's not some giant cover up or something, you know?
It's very frustrating when, you know, like, oh, it's like above an 8.5 they got paid for it. It's like, oh, it's below a 4. Some other company paid for them to trash it. It's like, no, God, just listen to what the person has to say. And like, this isn't really a misconception, but one of the things I sort of get frustrated about when I see people comment on like review videos and stuff, like usually like one of the first comments you'll see is like, oh, it's an 8, I saved you 3 minutes. It's like, well, no, like there's actual thought. Why and like, yeah, like why is it an 8? Like why do they feel like they gave it that number, and like what are some of the like the ups and downs of this game and whatnot. So that's something I get frustrated by. But like, yeah, the misconception part definitely of like, oh, we get paid to give games good scores and whatnot. It's like, no, like the game just...
A lot of the people that work in our industry are living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
Like if there was like hundreds of thousands of dollars being thrown around for reviews, you would know it.
Yeah.
Because people wouldn't be taking...
Yeah, they'd be like,
people wouldn't
what's
be
up?
There wouldn't be 5 people in a 4-bedroom apartment. You know, like it's just the way it is. The way it is. Like people, like it's just not something that at least in at our time right now in our industry at where we work, that just doesn't happen.
Yep.
And it is so frustrating. Like nothing makes me more angry because it's like it just invalidates all this hard work that like someone like hypothetically the most recent one I saw was Destin. Destin gave a really great review for Destiny, in my opinion.
And he put a lot of hours and a lot of work into that.
He put like 150 hours of that game in like a week.
Yeah. And like he definitely like Destiny is his thing. He's the host of Fireteam Chat. So it was like no one is going to put that under a microscope more than Destin.
And Destin is, of all the Destiny podcasts, because there's a lot of them and I listen to most of them, he is the most critical of anybody that I know.
Yeah.
So like when people are like, that's a terrible person to have write their view, I was like, no, because everybody else is just sucking the teat of Destiny, which is fine if you're like an enthusiast and that's all you love. Like Destin's the only guy in year 2 pointing out the problems. Like when I remember listening to Fireteam Chat and him being like, hey, I think this is an issue and I think this is an issue and I think this is an issue. And some people get on him for being negative, but like in reality, like no, people need...
He makes solid points.
Bungie needs to know that their game is broken or not working in certain areas.
Yeah.
Other people are just being like, it's the greatest game ever. Tune in next week for us to tell you about it's the greatest game ever. It's like, that's not compelling content.
I really liked Nerds of the Round Table. That was a really good show.
I was very critical, all right? The Thorn was too strong. The meta, I couldn't handle it. There's no way you should die when you run away from a fight in an engagement like that. It's not a satisfying kill, Bungie. So, and it just really upset me because... What? God,
I don't know.
Did you miss me? It's one of those things where that just hurts me because like I watch people really work hard. That's the other thing where people
like I feel like the one main misconception is like, oh, like it's very easy to like review games and whatnot. It's like one of my stories. I don't know if like this is a story that's like well known, so I'm not going to name the person, but there was someone who like had to review a game and they had like 3 days to do it and they were like super sick and like it was one of their favorite game series, and they like had to play through the entire game and review it in 3 days while they were super sick, and that's like one of the,
I mean, like 102-degree fever.
Yeah,
sick.
it was like
should
bad.
Be in the hospital.
And it was like that was a story I heard like I think like right at starting at IGN, and it was one of those moments like, all right, but like I definitely know that people don't mess around here. Like this is what we love, and this is what we're very passionate about. So it's not like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna play this game for a couple hours and just put some words down on a paper. It's like, no, like they're really passionate about this. So it's like, actually like listen to what they have to say about like a review or something, you know, like just don't scroll down to the bottom, look at the score and be like, oh, this fucking is dumb.
Yeah,
you know.
The one of the misconceptions is that like people, like if we put out a piece of content that doesn't hit, like, oh, they didn't try, or like, no product on IGN goes out, or at least that I've seen, where someone's not putting a lot of effort into it. It's like sometimes it's just like, I've made videos that aren't funny, that I thought were funny, but like the world didn't think were funny.
It's because you're not
like,
funny.
No,
right.
Thank you, IGN commenter. You know, it's one of those
it's
things
my cosplay
where, like,
for the entire year.
I still tried. So like, I turn around sometimes on a Friday at 7:00 and there's 5 people still with their head buried in their work, and I'm like, people I think just don't understand how hard people work.
The next question comes from Henry Montiero at Henrosaurus. He asks, what would it take to fight Greg Miller one-on-one?
In what? I beat him in literally everything ever.
I think just like hand-to-hand combat.
And first of all, Greg would smack me in a couple of things, like drinking. If I was, I love Greg. I don't want to inflict.
Okay, but let's see if let's say like Greg got bitten by like a radioactive zombie. He's
going down,
and he's like coming at you, like running full force at you. What do you do?
I mean, he's got long legs. I'd probably lock him.
Yeah, he's a little tall boy. Tall boy.
Greg is like such a nice person. I would never inflict bodily harm. But in a hypothetical situation where Greg was cloned and he was an evil Greg, and I had to fight evil Greg.
What does an evil Greg look like right now? Because he's got the 5 o'clock
I don't think
shadow.
He does. Did he shave? Yeah,
he already shaved. All right, so the evil Greg would either have the 5 o'clock shadow,
a full beard,
or the mustache, the twirly mustache.
Eye patch and a full beard. I'm talking Metal Gear Solid 5 Greg.
But that's the thing.
Mullet.
I think even evil Greg wouldn't be able to grow a beard.
Oh man, you're attacking it. That's a personal attack.
So I can't grow a beard either.
Yeah, I was gonna say it grows like here and here on you. I mean, I would never fight Greg, but like, yeah, I could.
Bucktown at Emperor Bucktown is our last question for the week. Thank you guys so much for sending us questions. He wants us to discuss the problems of first to publish game like ratings, of like rushing to be the first to like review something and whatnot, and the shortcomings of the 7 to 9 rating system. That's another like sort of weird way to, I think, look at the industry. Like a lot of people are like, oh, like if you know, like you need to put a score in like into the middle, like in between 7 and 9, like I feel like a lot of people assume like, oh yeah, like it's gonna be in between those two numbers. If it's not, like it's gonna be paid for, right? So I think that's another like sort of misconception.
So the 7 and 9 thing is anything below a 7 is bad, and anything above a 9 is paid.
Yeah. So I think it's like that's another just weird misconception that people have. It's like, you know, just because like a game gets a 6 or like a low 7 or something doesn't mean it's like awful, right? It's like and that's like the thing I was saying earlier, like you should actually like listen or read what the person has to say, you know, like there's a reason why they like it's good, you know, like a 7 is good, you know. And like a lot of people said like Mad Max was good, but I was like, and I agree with a lot of the criticisms people had to say about Mad Max, right? But I loved the car combat so much that I was able to sort of just like be like, all right, whatever, like it's not the greatest game of all time, but like I'm still enjoying it, you know. So
yeah, my whole thing with the 7 to 9 system is that I like that system. I just take the scale for IGN very literally. I talk to this with Dan sometimes, where Dan will give a game
Mr. Dan Stapleton
a 6.9.
Yeah,
and I'll be like, so
nice.
it's I'll be like, so it's as good as a game could be before hitting great. Like, yeah, that's what the 6.9 means. So like. No, it's as okay of a game as it can be before it becomes good. Yeah. Like a legitimately solid good game. It's a very okay game. Yeah. And like I love very okay games. I think the Darkness is like I got like a 6.5 and that's an okay game. One of my favorite games ever. And it's okay.
And you're talking about some weird game the other day.
Too Human. Got like a 3. Yeah. Which is awful. But I played that game with Fred. Yeah. and it was like a mindless beat 'em up where you could build your own character. Yeah, I mean, like that's what I was looking for.
Yeah,
it's so everything is so preference based.
Yeah, and I think it comes down to just like enjoy what you want to enjoy and let other people enjoy like what they want to enjoy, and it's all like whatever you're in the mood for. It's like I really loved Spider-Man Web of Shadows because at the time when that game came out, that's like sort of the kind of game I wanted to play. I imagine if I went back to that game now, I'd be like, oh, the Wolverine boss fight is a little crappy. But like at the time, I really loved it. So it's like,
yeah, I think it also comes down to like people are like, man, there's a lot of 7 through 9s, but if a game,
especially this year, there's actually a lot of pretty like great solid games this year.
Yeah, but also you have to look at the way like we're an industry now that's not old, but like kind of for the
we're
most
established.
part knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
So like. If a game's going to get greenlit,
yeah,
and a game is going to have hundreds of millions of dollars poured into it,
they're going to want it to like.
They probably know they've got something. That's why there's so many sequels.
Yep.
And like and if it's not a sequel, it's usually a game made by with either an IP that is going to resonate, like South Park, or like there's just, and obviously that could not happen. People are wrong sometimes, but there's a lot of people whose job it is to make sure that they're at least making a good game.
Yeah, because video games are super expensive, and
a lot goes into making them.
Yeah, and a lot of stress and time and just whatever goes into making games, and like I feel like it's easier to get something greenlit in the movie industry than it is in the video game industry, just because like they want. I feel like the game industry definitely wants sort of quality control because they don't want to lose millions of dollars.
But we've seen what happens when we don't.
We see what happens when one game is so bad that it could ruin an entire industry, and that was E.T.
Basically, almost tanks the industry. It's also, the other thing that's interesting about movies to games is that Danny Juarez, you and I could go shoot a movie right now.
It's true. We can't make a game. I mean, we could.
Hypothetically, if we had years of training, yeah, we could go. That's like the great thing about Andy. It's like one day someone was like, "Do you know how to use Premiere Pro?" And he goes, "No, but I can make video games, so I think I can figure it out." Like it was like he's like, "I can do complex 3D modeling that I went to school for."
Yeah.
Like I could shoot. It's not gonna be good.
Yeah.
But like if we have like a good idea, there's so many people who have great ideas for games that will never get made because they don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
And like the industry has got so many good ideas, but a lot of people won't even talk to you unless you have a prototype running of your game, at least a rough outline. So that means you have to know how to do all these other things. So I think it's easier to get a movie made because if someone goes out and makes the Blair Witch Project, you can make that movie. Yeah. And like, not that it's impossible to make games, it's just a hell of a lot harder.
Yeah.
I learned how to do basic editing in like a month. I wouldn't learn how to do basic coding in a year. It's just one of those things where it's easier to make movies than it is to make games. Games are harder to make. So you're going to get games that are better because people who are doing it are all trained professionals. Yeah. Now, of course, that being said,
for
movies,
Hollywood,
Hollywood's a different story.
But again, I think it's because if a movie fails so bad in Hollywood, right, like it just sort of gets scraped under the rug. The company itself, which is like a multimedia like
Goliath.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, oh, we'll take the money from the game department and we'll put it back so we don't like do a huge loss, right? But like for a video game company to fail, that could really screw over like a lot of people. So it's just like,
yeah, if your game tanks, your company's probably done.
Yeah, so it's like I think the reason why like people are like, oh, there's 7 to 9, it's like, yeah, because people are trying to make these successful and consistent and good.
Yeah, and it's not that, like I said, there's just a lot of bad movies that get made and that lose just tons of money. Yep. And in games, normally, if you lose $250 million, your company's probably gone. Yeah. And then you probably won't make another game. Yep. So it's just one of those things where that's going to happen a lot. What was the other part of that question?
7 to 9 and then...
First to publish game ratings.
Yeah.
That's a weird thing where I don't do that, so I can't really speak to it.
Yeah, I can't really talk to that either.
I know from talking to my friends that make reviews, it's incredibly stressful to get, because you want, for SEO purposes and all these other things, you want to make sure that you get your review, and just so that people know if they should buy the game. Yeah, because people do, like, I wouldn't buy a game before seeing a review if I wasn't sure about it.
Yeah, and that's why like we're like sometimes you get like weird embargoes. No, Stormtrooper. Like I remember Assassin's Creed Unity had that like embargo where it was like the day of. Yeah. And it was like the day came out but not until noon. And it was like there's like weird parts like that where it's like stressful, like not to be the first one, but to be able to like tell people of like, hey, like maybe hold off on getting this game, So it's like weird stuff like that, but for the most part, like I can't really talk to that. Like I remember I can speak to my experience with like BGG back in the day when I was trying to like do video reviews of me talking to the camera about a game and stuff. Like I remember like it being super stressful to like, do I have time to do this? Because I'm trying to get it like as fast up as fast as possible because of SEO purposes and staying relevant and all that stuff. So like from like a sort of like indie side of it, it was very stressful, especially because like I was the only one doing it, right? Like I didn't have like a video editor and like someone writing it and like someone getting the capture and all that stuff. So yeah, from the indie side of it, it was stressful. But again, from the professional side, I don't know that life.
I just know that a lot. Speaking to our reviewers, a lot of the reviews that they do are to educate the audience.
Yeah, exactly.
Like people think we have this weird like ulterior motive. Like,
Yeah.
no, we want to be able to tell you if a game is good or not. That's kind of why you come to us.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's no ulterior motive. If someone gives a game a 5, it's because they thought the game was a 5, and maybe you shouldn't play it, or maybe you should read the review.
Exactly. That's all we got today.
Thank you guys so much. I'll be gone again next week.
No.
Oh no, next week I'll be here. I leave the next Wednesday, so in 2 weeks I'll be gone.
Okay.
Thank you guys. Of course, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, like, share. Go rate us on iTunes. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at Sean Twisters. Follow Barrett on Twitter. He's at Banandler Chung. Follow our new assistant producer / laugh guy at Stoked Dan with 2 Ks.
Stoked Danny.
That's it. Oh, I'm sorry, Danny.
He's that on Twitter and Instagram. So
yeah, make sure, like I said, this show will go live every Wednesday, and I don't remember how to do outros.
Every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, right here on youtube.com/ZeroLife, iTunes, and all the podcast platforms you can think of except Spotify.
Go ahead. Go to our patreon.com/ZeroLives.
No, we don't
No,
do
I'm just
that. But if you want to support us, we do have t-shirts, teespring.com/ZeroLifeT. Because we couldn't,
or just go to my Twitter. It's the pin link.
Yeah. So check that out. Real cool shirts. We got them in white and in black, so it's pretty dope.
I ruined my white one.
Oh dang.
Future Barrett, hit the music.